Yo, it's Kyle, another video, and the title of this video is Reinventing Yourself. And what I mean by that, okay, so in my kitchen, reinventing myself. This channel is more video journals for myself. And sometimes I give advice, but a lot of times I'm speaking to myself, trying to give myself advice, trying to learn and be a better person. So, reinventing yourself. I think in all of our lives, we've all wanted to be better, wanted to be somebody that we're not, wanted to change something about ourselves. And these things require some time, they require some patience, and they require a lot of change with the way we think, the way we act, the way we portray ourselves to the world. So let's say for myself, I'm somebody who wants to reinvent themselves, who've always tried to reinvent themselves. You know, the last few years I've really started getting back into the gym, and that's become part of my identity again, where now I take care of my body, which also helps me take care of my mind. But that was something I had to build a habit of. So anytime you want to reinvent yourself, you have to build that habit. You have to change the way you think, you have to change your identity. That's the biggest thing, is changing your identity in order to reinvent yourself. You have to change the way you think about yourself, you have to change your self-image. Because you could do something, but if your self-image doesn't change, then nothing will change. So let's say you want to become more financially successful. This is just one example. Or you want to be more confident. If you always view yourself as a poor person, if you always view yourself as not loving yourself, you view yourself as somebody who's not worthy, who's not capable, you know, let's say there's a position that you want, but you don't identify with it, you still identify with your current self, you will never achieve that position. And this is really important because reinventing yourself, it takes a long time and it takes a lot of interchange, because you could change your outside circumstances. You could move different places, change jobs, find a new partner, hang out with different people. But if you do not act different, you don't feel different, you don't operate differently, your self-image doesn't change, it will only be temporary, these changes, because internally you still feel and act the same way. So when you're changing your identity, when you're reinventing yourself, you really have to do the inner work. You really have to change your self-image. And sometimes, you know, that saying, fake it until you make it, will come in place, because the first few times, let's say you're reinventing yourself and you're trying to be, you know, I want to be more charismatic, I want to be more confident. The first few times you do that, the first few months or few years that you do that, maybe, you know, the change sometimes takes a little longer depending on what you're trying to change about yourself. It won't feel right. You know, you think, you know, I really want to attract more friends. So what you do is you try to become more social, you try to engage more, but it feels very uncomfortable. And you know that those thoughts, when you're doing these activities, you're going out and you're meeting people, you think, this doesn't feel right, this isn't me. I'm a introverted, sheltered person, I don't have friends, I'm not worthy of love. So you have to push past these thoughts, push past these uncomfortable feelings in order to finally see some success. And sometimes it's those small little changes, those small successes, that is what changes your identity, because you get the small wins, which starts to spiral. Oh, you know, I didn't think I was a gym person, but I started going to the gym and I gained 5 pounds of muscle, and I started lifting, you know, 20 pounds more in this one exercise. And then, you know, you're like, wow, this is who I am, this is who I'm becoming. And you start to, you know, that positive spiral starts to build. And yeah, there'll still be obstacles, but it's those small little victories which helps you to really solidify that new person that you're reinventing. Because once you start to build those habits, you start to build those mindsets, and you start to get those small victories, it just starts to spiral positively. And it's not linear, it's not always like that. It's like that, kind of goes up and down. It's not a straight path up. You'll have your small, first you'll start, oh man, I don't feel like this is right. And then you have a success, and then you'll kind of fluctuate. But if you keep to it, if you keep putting that energy into it, you keep putting that thought into it, you keep trying to reinvent yourself, eventually you'll get to a place where you start to feel comfortable with this new identity that you built, and it'll just become who you are. You won't even have to think about it anymore. You won't have to think, man, I want to be loved, I want to be cared for, I want to be more physically fit, I want to be more financially stable. It'll just start to become who you are because you start building these habits. This reinventing yourself will just be part of your day-to-day life. And I think it's important when you're reinventing yourself to give yourself some patience, because at first when you're trying to change something about yourself, it's going to be hard, it's going to be uncomfortable, and you have to be okay with being uncomfortable. Because in order to be who you want to be, you have to do what you haven't done before. You have to change things, and when you change, sometimes it's uncomfortable. When you change things about yourself, your personality, your situation, it just doesn't feel right. It's not comfortable because it's not who you are. You're used to being your former self. So when you try to be somebody else, you really have to just be okay with being uncomfortable until you get to a place where you realize, this is who I am now. And you'll wake up one day and just realize all these months or years that I spent trying to become this new person, I'm now that new person. Because you were patient with yourself, because you loved yourself, because you kept putting the energy into it, you kept taking the action, even though the results weren't always that clear. You still did it. So anyway, this is just a little self-journal because I'm trying to reinvent myself. I'm trying to become somebody different. I'm trying to be somebody that I want to be. I want to take attributes from certain people and reinvent myself to be more confident, be more loving, to be more caring, to be more truthful, more honest. And these are things that take time. So I'm just kind of making a video for myself. And if it helps you, if my words helped you in some way, great. Anyway, that's all I got for today's video. Peace.